Welcome to the Friends of FEAD's podcast, brought to you by FEAD Canada, our funding partner, ISED, and founding partner, the Saskatchewan Food Centre. This show is all about celebrating the incredible journeys of female entrepreneurs in the agri-food and food manufacturing sector. We're here to dish out the secrets of success and serve at the side of inspiration along the way. We are the FEAD program where dreams are made, businesses are born, and the agri-food world is your oyster. Let's dine together.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Friends of FEAD's podcast. Today's episode is a little bit different, but it's also a very special episode. It is actually a panel discussion that took place at the Miu Michuin Good Food Conference. This was a conference that FEAD partnered with Saskatchewan Indigenous Economic Development Network to bring together the conference to focus on Indigenous participation and leadership in the agri-food and ingredients sector. I was lucky enough to get to speak with Destiny Millar, Hrchabeck, and Rachel Smith, and they are all three Indigenous entrepreneurs who work in the food space. So sit back and enjoy. I'm just going to start on my left here with Rachel, but this question is for everyone. And I would just love if you could kind of start us off by sharing your journey into the food industry and how you got into the food industry.
Okay, so getting into catering and opening up my own restaurant was just a natural progression for me. Ever since I was a little kid, I just loved to cook. I cook everything in the kitchen, like everything. And I just love cooking. And I found that it was a part of my healing journey was to heal through some of the trauma that I experienced growing up in foster homes, residential schools, group homes. I bounced around a lot and I just found it a natural progression to go towards catering. And I just loved that every time I cooked, I just made people happy with food. Like, who doesn't want bannock tacos? You know, it's just a natural progression, bannock burgers. So yeah, that's really where my healing journey started. And I just, turn your trauma into passion and it'll take you a long way. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ali, the question was, can you share your journey into the food industry with us?
Well, I was raised by a low-income single-parent teenage mom. I didn't have the traditional upbringing of having someone in the kitchen to bake or to cook or to spend time with me, teaching me all of like those, basic home tasks, because I grew up under the desk of my mom's seat in school, and I lived in the libraries while she was in class and putting herself through law school. I wasn't actually introduced to food or like baking and cooking and loving it until I was actually a brand new mother at 27 years old. I found myself with kind of a lost sense of identity when I started my journey into motherhood. And I really needed like a creative outlet for myself that allowed me to still do something for myself and still be at home. And, I stepped foot into the kitchen for the first time, not knowing what I was doing, and bought my first set of measuring cups at 27 years old. And I started experimenting and playing around. And then I found myself really enjoying baking and decorating, because if you don't know, I do like cakes, cookies, cupcakes, desserts. That's my business as a bake shop. And I started decorating and I really loved it, and it turned out that I actually wasn't that bad at it. And then my hobby just really became a part-time job, and then it became a full-time job. And now I'm so grateful to be sitting here like almost 6 years later, being given this platform to talk about food and how I got here. So in a sense, much like Rachel, food was just a part of my healing journey and figuring out and understanding really who I was.
Thank you so much. And Destiny, same question to you. Can you share a bit about your journey to get into the food industry?
First of all, very beautiful, both your stories, ladies. My food journey started a little bit differently. My mothers and my grandmothers, my aunties, they were all chefs, and if we wanted to hang out with them, we had to cook. We had to help in the kitchen. My cookum, she loved cooking. My grandmother on my one side, she was a farm wife, so we had to help her with branding and cooking for everybody for those kind of events. On my mom's side, my grandma, she is a culinary chef and she's taught cooking for a long time, and she taught me everything I know about cooking. It started when I was probably about 6 years old, and gradually over the years it increased. It wasn't until I was in high school working for a restaurant, and they didn't have anybody to cook, and they asked me if I knew how, and I said I can flip eggs and deep fry food, and they threw me and my friend Joey Tatusis in the kitchen, and he never cooked a day in his life either. And I remember we were cooking probably a whole summer every weekend together, and started there. From there, started doing small little catering jobs for friends and their weddings with my mom. And about 7 years ago, me and my mom, we opened up our first restaurant together, Devour Grill and Bar, and that's where my passion really grew for cooking.
Amazing. Thank you. So my first individual question is for Rachel. And I was just wondering, how do you adapt traditional recipes and methods to appeal to this broader audience and market while maintaining the authenticity of what you're cooking?
Well, I'd like to incorporate things like, Saskatoon berries and sage and into my cooking. Like we have this cranberry and sage stuffing. It's so good. So when I want to come up with new ideas on what to make, I'm thinking how I could be traditional but still appeal. Like I put like spicy Saskatoon jam on my bannock burger, so you want to still appeal to everyone, but you still want to have a little traditional twist. So sometimes I just rack my brain thinking like, what can I do next? And I always try to stay on top of things. We have like a muskeg tea, iced tea, honey iced tea, peach iced tea that we like to have on in the summer. So I'm always racking my brain and thinking like, how can I stay original but still use these ingredients in my dishes?
Amazing. So this question is kind of both. I wrote it for Allie or Destiny or both of you, depending on kind of who's feeling like answering it. But so how do you navigate balancing some of the more traditional methods with modern business practices in your businesses?
Traditional practices. Honestly, it's tough. For a long time, I really called myself the gentrified Indian because I was so removed from my community growing up. I didn't really have any ties to tradition, and my family had all been a part of the residential school system. So, and our families that were up north or down south, they were not living in a good way. So we knew what kind of life waited for us if we had stayed here. And when we had moved away, so my mom could further her education and try and better her life for our family, we were very disconnected out on the West Coast. It wasn't until I moved back here at like 17 years old that I really kind of started to get reintroduced to the Plains Cree way of life. And I'm not going to lie, it wasn't until this past year that I've really started to reconnect with my culture and my indigeneity and embracing that in all of its various concepts. So the way I try to tie these practices into what I do with food, I try to use the things that I produce and put out for community. I try to use it as a learning tool. So when the Kamloops discovery had first been discovered, a lot of people had no idea that residential school systems, first off, even existed. It was a huge eye-opening experience for a lot of people here living in our community and across Canada in general. And I just thought, food is a healer, but food could also be an educator. So it was then at that point that I started incorporating Indigenous symbols and teachings and concepts and education into food so that it could go into other people's homes, so people could use food as a way to connect and to learn and to become aware and to open up their mind to Indigenous cultures and Indigenous way of life, and in turn Indigenous history. And I can't say that I know everything and I'm doing everything, because I'm only human and I'm just trying to slowly get there. But I can promise that my culture and my teachings are only going to be that much more prevalent in everything that I do moving forward, whether it's in my packaging, which I'm launching this year, whether it's in the books that I'm currently working on, whether it's in the way I appear in community, or just the good nature of the food that I send out into the world.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to go back to Rachel for just a couple quick questions. I was wondering if you'd be able to tell us a bit about the process of getting on Dragon's Den and your experience with it.
Yes, okay. So for the Dragon's Den, I applied about 5 times in a row. I made it my dream to get on Dragon's Den when I opened my business back when I was a restaurant. I applied for Dragon's Den 4 times as a restaurant. The last 2 times I applied, I had my Bannock mix. So last year, with COVID and everything, that they weren't doing in-person interviews. So I was like, well, how am I going to get noticed? Like, they're not even coming here. How am I going to apply? So I just did a pitch video. It literally took me like 10 minutes just to do a pitch in my kitchen. And the year before that, so I got a second interview, and I was really excited about the second interview. That's the first time in every time I've applied. This is like my 5th time applying. So I got a second interview. I got all ready. And that interview only lasted 10 minutes and it was done. And that was that. I didn't hear from them again. So I didn't give up. Then last year I had this, so I knew I had the audition coming up. And that night I had a big catering job. It was like a couple hundred people. I catered for them, and every year it's like I'm always so busy. I don't have time to study and take it as seriously. If I want to get on this show, I need to be serious about it. So I stayed up. I went and studied the pitch for like 3 hours in an empty parking lot. And then the next morning the pitch came, and I was all ready and I was all pumped, and I drove to the restaurant to get ready, and I couldn't find my keys. I'm like, where are my keys? And I had to drive all the way home to the other side of the city, and they're outside on the ground. So I'm like, okay, all right. So I hightail it all the way back there, and I didn't have my background set up yet. So okay, this is really funny, but anyways, I was looking around and I ripped my pants getting the camera set up to do my freaking interview for Dragon's Den. Oh, and I was like, I had no time to change. The camera's going to be on there. So I get on the camera and I do my pitch, and I'm getting along with the guy. We're laughing. I didn't tell him I ripped my pants, but I did the whole interview with like ripped pants. He couldn't see behind anyways, but oh yeah. Yeah, I kept him on the phone for 45 minutes. So then I get a call like a week later. So how are you doing? How's it been? So he checked in on me every couple of months. I'm like, this is amazing. Like maybe I'm going to get on the show. So then I finally got the phone call saying, yeah, you're going to go and pitch for the Dragons in August. So I finally got on the show, but it was a battle, but it was worth the battle. And nothing worth, you got to fight for your dream and what you believe in. And if you really want something, you just really have to do the work, even if you're tired. Even no one cares you catered for 100 people that day. They just care that you come prepared and ready, and that they're going to invest in you, and you just keep working at it. So that was my experience getting on the den.
Amazing. I'm glad that we got a bit of an insider's view of the story there that other people might not know. And then just one more question related to this. What have things looked like in your business since Dragon's Den, since either you've been on or since it aired? What's kind of changed?
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I got really overwhelmed after the Dragon's Den aired. I felt stretched in every way. Like they call it growing pains. So I really had to take a step back, and then I was just had to focus on what needed to be done. So I had to work on my packaging. My packaging, it did not meet Canadian food guideline standards. So I had to actually study the pamphlet. I had to learn how to do my own nutritional fact table. So I had to learn how to do the NFT, make sure that it was geared towards the Canadian food guideline standards as well. And I basically had to teach myself everything. You're never done growing as an entrepreneur, and every day, and you'll never know everything. So I'm constantly learning and having to learn, and it's really hard sometimes when it's your baby and you don't like you're trying to find people to visualize what you want your product to look like, and you can't get the message across. So you have to put in the work and the extra work, and you have to build teammates, and you have to rely on other people too to help you. Like I didn't build all this company by myself. I have a really supportive husband at home who not only supports me in the business, he helps me raise our 9 kids together. So I do have a big support system now that I've built with just family and friends and extended family who's been there to support.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And yeah, working with food entrepreneurs, we found that so many people aren't aware of just how specific those regulations are when it comes to packaging. There's not as much room for flexibility and creativity as you might think. Right. So now we're going to go back over to Destiny here. And we talked a little bit about how circumstances have changed in your business, and it's caused you to have to pivot. What are you thinking about doing next in the future, dealing with these changes?
Well, I am now manager of Water's Edge Eco Lodge, but a few months ago I was the owner of Emberstone Fusion Kitchen, my food baby. Forever my food baby. I absolutely love that business. A couple months ago, my landlord came to me and he told me that my rent was going to be increased 440%. Quite a big jump compared to what we were used to. Not gonna lie, my rent was $800, so I knew it was coming, but I didn't expect a $2,500 a month. That's ultimately what made me decide to shut down my business. Thankfully, I noticed that Water's Edge Eco Lodge was looking for a new manager, and I scoped out the place about 2 years ago. And I was thinking about it ever since. So things are working out really well right now. Emberstone, we've put on the back burner for the time being, just to kind of refocus it, remake our business brand and what we're going to do with it for the future. If you haven't ate at Emberstone in the past, we actually ran out of Flying Dust First Nation Arena. So it was a mix of concession food and a mix of a little bit of everything else, our culinary dishes that we created. Our most popular dish was a bang bang chicken teriyaki. Naps really liked it. It was, honestly, I would get catering. I would get up to 200-300 people of just our bang bang chicken teriyaki. Definitely a dish that I crave every single day. But that's all right. So that's on the back burner for now. And now with Water's Edge Eco Lodge, I get to, well, Chef Jenny, she worked with Devin in the past in creating the catering menu. I've made a few of the dishes, well, almost half of them now. Absolutely amazing menu. I love our catering menu. So I took Chef Jenny's menu and I created a quick service menu for our customers. So it's a mix of our catering and a mix of, well, my taste and what I like for food. So, yeah.
Great. And one kind of follow-up in relation to this whole conversation. You took our restaurant to retail program, and we also spoke a little bit about how this has kind of helped, how that experience has kind of changed how you look at certain aspects in your business, and has it kind of affected how you think you may move forward if and when you kind of go back towards Emberstone?
Oh yes, 100%. In the future, my next goal with Emberstone Fusion Kitchen is to be able to offer bang bang chicken teriyaki in grocery stores. That's ultimately why I want to do the FEAD program was to learn how to get there. If you guys haven't heard of the FEAD program, you guys should really check it out. It was a very good program. I loved taking it. I learned a lot. Like I thought I knew a lot, but every week that we did our weekly course, I just learned more and more. And the keynote speakers that they would bring in each time just gave that much more knowledge with the program.
Move back towards Ali here, and I was just hoping you could tell us a bit about the journey from starting your bakery to moving to starting the Creative Foundation.
So the Creative Foundation is a nonprofit that I founded last year. I knew from the very first day that even before I started my baking business, I wanted to give back to community as much as I can. I had the experience of growing up with not a lot. I remember still like being a little girl and knowing how it felt not to have much to our name or in our fridge or in our cupboards, and to do my little part in community to try and help give children, low-income families, single-parent homes, just a helping hand as much as I possibly could. So whether before my business, I would always gather things and take it to our local shelters. And then when I originally, Allie's Cake Creations, because back when I first started, I only did cakes, I would support local businesses in the community and then create raffles. And then with the money that was raised, I would donate it to shelters. And then, I did that for years under just my business. But then when COVID had happened, there were so many restrictions and our world was in a state of chaos. And, there were people, I remember the day so vividly that I'm like, I can't sit around and keep doing nothing. Like, I need to do more. And it was when I was reading in the stories that people were being turned away from shelters because they were at capacity, and in turn, people just kilometers away from my home were freezing to death in alleyways or in entryways of stores. And I'm like, I can't not do more for my community. So then that sparked the journey of creating my nonprofit. And every day along the way, I battled imposter syndrome because I'm like, what the hell am I doing? I don't know anything. I'm like, who am I to think that I can do and make an impact? And, every day I had to just keep battling that imposter syndrome. And I just kept slowly taking the steps to found the Creative Foundation. Last year in December, I finally did that. I took the steps. I became an incorporated nonprofit here in Saskatchewan, and now I'm partnered with Prairie Harm Reduction so that we can now offer charitable tax receipts to people who do donate to the Creative Foundation, because Prairie Harm and us pretty much work side and side in the community that we are trying to actively work towards helping. And yeah, that's how the Bake Shop and the Creative Foundation really became one in one. It was just a commitment to community to constantly do better.
It's great. Thank you. And you already kind of covered this next question, but I'll just ask, do you have anything else that you want to tell us about the Creative Foundation, or feel like you covered it?
I can give you a charitable tax receipt. So
keep that in mind, everyone.
And we're always looking for community partnerships or sponsorships in order to help fund our community outreach days, which is also going to be a target for the Creative Foundation. Not only do we do food drives, clothing drives, and outreach days for whatever the community needs or whatever the children in our community needs, we are just also trying to bring affordable, actually free events so that families can come together with accessibility, whether it's being more involved in the community. And then hopefully, like, I haven't really run this past my board yet, but I'm creating a self-defense class for kids in the community down on the West End, because I think our kids need to be equipped with tools to look out and support themselves. So always looking for partnerships like that. So if you think that's you, please send me an email.
Yeah, I feel like we have a very connected room here. So someone's got to know someone that can help out. So now I have a question that is for everyone. So not everyone has to answer, but I would love you to if you feel the need. So what advice would you give to aspiring Indigenous entrepreneurs in the industry?
Honestly, keep working on yourself, keep learning, find a goal and work towards it, and find every resource that you can use to make your way.
Mine would be, I heard this saying yesterday, you can't be what you can't see. So be that beacon of hope for all other Indigenous entrepreneurs and just believe in yourself, because it literally just takes one person to spark change and to make an impact. And that can be you.
And pretty much the same thing, search out your mentors, finding a mentor or someone to look up to that's in the same line at work has really helped me come a long way. If I have a question, I could just reach out to my mentor and ask them. So mentors, set daily goals, and it's okay to take a day for yourself as well.
Great. Thank you. All three of you provided great advice for us. Going back to Rachel, you were one of the first members to join FEAD Sokitahu Circle. What made you want to join the program?
Well, first, I just want to say thank you, FEAD, for running a really amazing program. I really love the FEAD program, and I didn't know it existed. And someone just brought it up, and I searched it out, and it was such an amazing program. Every day that I was in that program, we had a class. I learned a lot, and I just learned that there's a lot of entrepreneurs going through the same thing that you're going through, where they're just trying to find someone who can help them design their package, or, doing an NFT table, like, where do you find the information for an NFT table? Just little questions like that. It's so hard when you feel alone, but this FEAD program just brings like-minded individuals together, and we can really just listen to each other talk and walk away with what you need from each meeting. So it was really great.
It's great to hear. So now I'm going to go back to Destiny. And so we heard a little bit about Water's Edge Eco Lodge earlier. So I was going to ask you to kind of explain a little bit about the business to us, and you still can. But I was mostly just kind of curious about how this role that you're currently in is kind of helping you think about next steps in your business and kind of how it ties back into that entrepreneurship as well.
Well, I'll start with what the Eco Lodge is. Water's Edge Eco Lodge, we are located in Meadow Lake Provincial Park. We are owned by Waterhen Lake First Nation. If you don't know, it's about 4 hours north from here. So we offer 9 indoor suites, one of them being a family suite, 8 of them being individual private rooms, all within our lodge. We have 3 seasonal cabins, and right now, in about a month's time, we are launching our teepee village. On our land, we have 4 great trails that you can hike, and we offer a bunch of things over at our lodge. You guys should all come check it out. For the future, the one thing I really like about the Eco Lodge is the networking that I get with it, the different people that come through our doors. It's crazy. I come from a big family, but I didn't realize that I was related to almost all of northern Saskatchewan.
Great. Thank you so much. So Ali, you were the one who took the awesome accelerator through FEAD. And I was also just wondering about your experience and how did it help you with the stage of your business you were at when you took it?
So I took the Awesome Accelerator probably a couple of years now. It was in the midst of COVID. And so all of our stuff was just online cohort meetings. And every class that we took as entrepreneurs in food, it was just so informative with every presenter. Like, I learned so many things that weren't even on my mind until I had been in that meeting. And like, it just gave me such a solid foundation for my plans to move forward. Have thought time and time again about how I can scale my business. And today I'm still weighing the pros and cons between mass production, manufacturing, packaging, or storefront. And all of the different things that come with that, because between like one decision or the other comes many other decisions you need to make in order to get there. And if it wasn't for the accelerator program, I probably had never thought about how to successfully scale my business. And because I have that foundation, I now feel confident in the steps I take next.
That's great. So great to hear. This is an open to everyone or whoever feels like volunteering for it. I was just wondering if you could share a significant success story or milestone in your entrepreneurship journey that we maybe haven't spoke about yet today. I'll give you guys a second to think, because I know we have 3 very successful women here, so there's got to be something.
Well, this took me a while, but I did successfully separate my 2 companies because they were intertwined with each other. So this took a lot of work for me to do. So now we have Bannock Express Restaurant, and then we have Bannock Mix Inc. And Bannock Mix Inc. is run by a board of directors. As you know, that would be myself, and then Dragon's Den, Arlene Dickinson. And then we have a third director who is Gloria Lee. So I have formed I've separated my 2 companies and I've got everything put together. It took me a while, but I'm really proud of that, and I'm organized. The accelerator, the FEAD accelerator program, really helped me get my goals organized, get my button gear, as you would say.
That's amazing. Congratulations. That's that's huge. Taking those pieces and creating 2 separate entities that's an incredible amount of work. Anybody else? Or
so a milestone for me essentially is not only like did I create a successful business by myself with no real help or understanding of even what entrepreneurship really was, because I wasn't taught that in school. My milestone for me is that I have become self-sufficient, and in a sense I have created financial security, food stability. I have been able to provide a happy, healthy life for my family. I'm actively breaking the cycles of intergenerational trauma within my family, and I get to be a happy, healthy individual that shows up for my kids each and every day. And if it wasn't for Allie's Creative Bake Shop, 81 Creative Consulting, and the Creative Foundation, I wouldn't be here today, and I wouldn't be able to show up for my family like I do every day and my community. I'm inspiring my children to think outside the box and to be self-sustaining, self-sufficient, and, just the little leaders of tomorrow. And it just makes me so proud because, I created that, and I created this business, and I created a positive change in my family, and that's my milestone personally.
All right. And so Destiny, I was wondering what resources or support systems have been most valuable for you as an entrepreneur?
Well, resources. When me and my mother, we first opened up a restaurant, we actually got funding from Beaver River Community Futures. We used them twice in our first business together. Well, the only business together, I guess. I really liked them. They were really well to work with, and I don't remember who it was earlier. Oh, Chef Jenny. When our numbers were getting low, they actually booked us a lot for catering as well, which I really appreciated from them. My family's always been a really good support system. They've always just been there cheering me on, coming to my restaurants, buying my food. I feel like I fed my family more than I did a lot of guests, to be honest with you.
So I'm going to go back to Rachel now. And I was wondering, how do you handle customer feedback, both positive and negative?
Well, you got to take it for what it is. When you get a customer's feedback, you just got to learn and you got to grow from it. You got to listen with open ears. But we do get some trolls, so you know the difference between a troll and a real review. But even then, you don't respond to the trolls. But yeah, when you get a review, you have to take it seriously. And I just look at it as a way of constantly growing and learning. You're always learning. Your business is constantly growing. you're always trying out these new dishes, or, even just like new things in your business, and the customer feedback is really important. So you have to listen to everybody's feedback.
Great, thank you. This is another kind of open-ended one for everyone, and I was just wondering if you could tell us about any collaborations you've been a part of that have been impactful in your business, be that with another business, with an organization, anything like that.
I collaborated lots in Meadow Lake with my restaurants. I don't know if anybody's ever been to Meadow Lake, but it's 3 hours north of here. It's very small. We don't have very much. We have a movie theater, though, and me and the manager of Aurora Cinemas, we actually collaborated quite a bit for Dine and, how did she word that? She would call it like Dine and Dash. She had so many names every single time. But I would come in and we would either have like a hot dog buffet, or one time we set up a really romantic Valentine's supper, which was really nice. You could rent the entire theater out for you and your spouse, and then I came in with a 5-course meal for them. It was really nicely catered. We've brought in food for baseball teams, birthday parties, things like that. And I've worked a lot with MLTC catering for them, and with some of their events, as well as Flying Dust in the past, and Meadow Lake Métis Nation.
Great. Anybody else collaborations or nothing off the top of your head?
I've been really lucky to be a part of a lot of events here in the city with, tourism, our Discovery, Saskatoon, Tourism Sask, Sarita, which is now Sask Startup. I've been able to, just really be embraced by a lot of major organizations in our city, and I'm like so deeply grateful for that, because there are times when I just think to myself, am I worth it? Is my product good? I don't know if I know what I'm doing. Imposter syndrome just sits on my back daily. And, when I get those like opportunities and partnerships and collaborations like that with, major organizations, it just really affirms that what I'm doing is the right thing, and I'm moving in the right direction. And I'm really grateful for that. And also, when these major organizations come and partner with Indigenous entrepreneurs like that, like us, it really is just showing a true step in the right direction in regards to economic reconciliation. And it just affirms all of our hard work, at least for me, that, we're doing the right thing. And it's just a really wonderful thing to be a part of.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to see these businesses not just saying the right words or organizations, but like taking the actual action to taking action, I guess.
Yeah.
So Ali, you already spoke to this a little bit, so I'm going to maybe kind of go to the other two on this one. In terms of marketing your business. So Ali was already talking social media, and if social media is a main one for you two too as well, we'd love to hear that. But yeah, what are kind of some marketing strategies that have been effective for your business and people to kind of know more about what you're doing?
I'm very old school. I like a lot more interpersonal connections with people, talking to them in person. I have no problem making a phone call and just, inviting them out to the Eco Lodge, or in the past, just trying to get catering jobs, during COVID was hard. It was both beneficial and it wasn't at the same time. Lost a lot of sales, but at the same time, our takeout delivery services skyrocketed. I really, really like that. I love Facebook. I love Instagram. I tried to do TikTok. I was not good at it, but I'm very more old school and like to be a lot more personal with people.
Great.
And when I started my business, I was really big on organic marketing or word of mouth marketing. I would not spend a dime on advertising at all, but I'm happy to say that I have grown a lot over the years, and I will spend money on marketing now. So like taking out radio ads is really beneficial, or just like a Facebook ad that's going to attract a lot of attention. Like let's say you want to drive some traffic to your website that day, and you just post a sale, and it actually works. So, you're always growing, and advertising is a really big part of your business, and coming up with an advertising plan is really crucial and beneficial for your business as well when you're growing. And yeah, organic marketing is fun, and the word of mouth, it always works. But if you want to, some extra help, just posting an ad or something like that has been really helpful for me.
Great. And I'll just do one last kind of open one for whoever's interested. We talked a little bit, or it was mentioned, kind of the struggle of work-life balance. Does anyone have any tips for that, or things that they would like to start doing, just how to kind of speak to being an entrepreneur and trying to kind of balance all those other things in life?
I'm just going to speak on my experience because everyone's experience is so different. But when I came to the realization that the work-life balance is a myth, you can't be 50-50 every day for 7 days a week. Some days you're going to give it your all with your job, and then other days you're going to give it all to your personal life. And I can honestly say with 100%, I am a workaholic. I do not know what it is to really take time for myself. And it was only at a moment in my life when I realized that my blood pressure was too high because I was constantly overwhelmed and overworked, and I didn't sleep much. I didn't eat well. I didn't exercise. I didn't spend time taking care of myself. And, I started hearing things from my kids like, oh, is mommy working today? Or, I miss you, mom. And even though I was in my office downstairs, it just really started to break my heart that I had to really sit and have like a moment with myself. And I had that in January where I'm like, what matters the most? Is it growing my business? Or is it growing, all these different initiatives that I'm working on? Or is it being present in my family life? And I'm really ashamed that it took me like essentially many, many years to be like, actually, it's my family. I got to stop living with this mentality that I'm living to work, and I just got to start working to live. And once I started to adopt that mindset in my everyday life, and I'm still battling it because, I find myself slipping up and being like, oh yeah, I could take that order, that order, that order. I could be there. I could take that job. I can be everywhere. And then before I know it, I'm already back in that cycle of working day in, day out, and then not being present at home. And, it's constantly a battle where I have to like re-ground myself to be like, okay, I haven't read a book in a week. I haven't gone for a walk in a few days. I haven't spent one-on-one time with any of my 3 kids because I'm also a mom. I have a 4, 5, and 6-year-old kids. And I know I'm crazy for having them that close together, but they're the most important thing to me, and I just need to constantly keep telling myself that. And then also, I need to show up as my best self, which also allows time for me to take care of me, whether that's reading, whether that's, taking a trip to go and connect with my mom, whether that's taking 20 minutes in the day to go and smudge and just ground myself. It's a battle. Work-life balance, like, you got to stop giving up the idea that it's always going to be a 50-50 because it's not. But it's just always good to recognize that you can't live in one situation where it's like 80-20 for a long period of time, because that's when other parts of your life start to suffer. You can't give from nothing. You always take from somewhere. And you just got to constantly check in with yourself about what's most important in your life. And then just take those small, tiny steps to work towards that balance for you.
I 100% agree with you on everything. It is a struggle. I struggle with it every day myself. I've made it a rule of my own that every day I need to spend at least 30 minutes on myself, whether it's reading a book or going for a walk or just anything outdoorsy, anything that I'm interested in. With my children, unlike you, I have a 13-year-old and a 16-month-old, big age difference. I can truthfully say a couple years ago, I could see that it was really bothering my daughter. She was asking me lots, like, "Oh, are you working today? You gonna spend more time with me today?" And I really stopped and looked at what I was doing, because I would work 16-hour days. Really, I would just, bring my kid to work with me, and that's our hanging out. But now with a 16-month-old, I have no choice but to slow down. My daughter, she absolutely loves having her brother in our life. It means we get to do more walks. We get to go to the lake more. We get to do a little bit more city trips because, well, you can really only get formula in the city nowadays. But yeah, I struggle with it a lot. I know there's some, even now at the Eco Lodge, I will go start at 7 in the morning and go until 9 p.m. at night some days if I'm spending the night there. And it's hard to just sit down and relax. It's hard when you have your laptop right there and the kids are watching TV or playing with their toys and you're like, oh, I have a few free moments to just work. You want to work, especially when you love your job. I'm a firm believer that if you are not happy, find something else.
Great. Okay, one final question. So thank you, all three of you, for being so great and for your honesty. The last question that I have is, how can the broader food industry better support and uplift Indigenous entrepreneurs? So I'll give you a second to absorb that one. I don't know if everyone has an answer or if just one person feels like they want to address that. Rachel looks ready.
Well, I think FEAD's already doing a great job by offering these programs where individuals and where we can come together and discuss issues like this. Also, where we have the online Zoom program. That's really amazing. You can come on there. You can talk with like-minded individuals. So I think that's very helpful and useful. And just more conferences. Saskatoon, I think, has a really good support system for Indigenous entrepreneurs, and just keep supporting each other.
Great, thank you.
Thank you to our listeners for indulging your entrepreneurial appetite with this episode of Friends of Feedies, brought to you by FEAD Canada, our funding partner ISET, and founding partner, the Saskatchewan Food Centre. If anything we have discussed today has ignited an entrepreneurial fire within you, but you're not quite sure how to get started, or you're craving mentorship and coaching to help grow your business, please reach out to us at feed.ca. That's FEAD.ca. Connect with us on social media. We're sprinkled all over the digital landscape, and our team is ready to provide the mentorship and coaching you need to flourish. At FEAD, we're here to empower women in the agri-food industry, so don't hesitate to reach out to us to join our vibrant community of foodpreneurs. Until next time, bake those dreams into reality, stay hungry for success, and continue to nourish your entrepreneurial spirit with FEAD. Bon appetit.